Well, it doesn't come much hotter than this in Florida, and that's property insurance. It is a really hot-button topic. So how did it get so out of control? It's one of the biggest problems we have in this state. Some blame the Office of Insurance Regulation. The agency is supposed to protect homeowners from greedy industry lobbyists. But as investigative reporter Doug Smith is going to show you right now, a string of emails suggests to us that this state agency might not be looking out for your best interests.
The legislative session is nearly over in Tallahassee, and there have been some wars over insurance bills.
Let me tell you, if this bill passes, that invisible hand is about to slap your constituents upside the face and pick their pockets all at the same time.
Strong words from lawmakers debating the pros and cons of property insurance reform legislation. But before a bill ever gets here, there are many meetings of the mind. And some believe the deck is stacked against homeowners before insurance bills ever come up for a vote.
When you elect your state senator, you expect that person to go up there and represent your interests. You don't expect that person to take a bill written by the insurance industry and say what a wonderfully consumer-friendly bill this is, and then that became the law of the state of Florida.
Sean Shaw is the founder of Policyholders of Florida.
Yeah.
His consumer group obtained a stack of emails under public records law that he says are extremely troubling.
I didn't see any consumer reps on those strings of emails. I didn't see anybody but the private market and citizens and OIR splitting up the pie.
The emails look to him like close cooperation from people who are not supposed to be on the same team.
I don't expect that from citizens and OIR. I expect more. Citizens is the People's Insurance Company. OIR is the Office of Insurance Regulation. That's the regulatory body for the state of Florida. Those entities should not be in cahoots with State Farm lobbyists.
But that's what it looks like to Shaw. This email from an insurance industry lobbyist last year says, "Guys, that meeting was not our finest hour. Before we get back in front of a legislator, we might do well to have a chorus practice one more time."
What does that suggest to you, this chorus line?
That suggests that OIR, citizens, all the private market are all going to create a united front to go to the legislature and say, hey, we all came up with this product, it's a wonderful bill, and this ought to be the law of the state of Florida. OIR and citizens shouldn't be involved in that.
Which might be why some lawmakers say this about OIR.
The Office of Insurance Regulation. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know if you had the opportunity to read anything coming out of that office. OIR stands for the Office of Industry Rubber Stamping.
We requested an on-camera interview with someone from OIR to talk about the emails. Emails that look like everybody might be singing from the same sheet of music and you're paying the price. Instead, we were sent this brief email which says, as subject matter experts on insurance, the office's general counsel and legislative director are frequently asked to provide input on bills about how potential law changes may affect the insurance marketplace and legislators' constituents. Didn't really answer the question, and neither did Citizens, another statement sent down from Tallahassee. Citizens did work with the Office of Insurance Regulation, legislators, members of the insurance industry, and other interested parties on a piece of legislation that was aimed at returning citizens to the insurer of last resort. Various groups with similar policy goals came together to draft legislation that was ultimately filed and debated publicly by policymakers in the Florida House and Senate.
And you wonder why my insurance rates keep creeping up. And it's because of they're being drafted by the industry for the industry with help from citizens and OIR.
So what do lawmakers have to say? Senator Mike Fasano and Garrett Richter have been the most vocal on property insurance reform. I shared the emails with them. Senator Fasano, who has fought hard against the insurance industry, says the only voices being heard are insurance industry representatives and regulators. The voices missing from this discussion are those that belong to the consumers. My question is, while this bill was being developed, who was asking questions on behalf of policyholders? Apparently, nobody was. Senator Richter, who often butts heads with Mike Fasano, says he sees nothing wrong with the emails. And he told me, I believe good policy is a result of collaborative discussions among interested and impacted parties. Relative to insurance issues, I believe it is important to have the Office of Insurance Regulation, OIR, at the table in all cases. OIR is responsible for regulating the insurance industry in order to ensure consumer protections. Consumer protections include rate approvals as well as the sustainability and solvency of underwriting companies. And Richter says that he is most concerned about the long-term impact of legislation, not the short-term popularity of it, and we'll have his full statement online.
But, Doug, the problem here, of course, is consumer involvement, the lack of it. It looks really bad, almost collusion, which is not a good word, between the private market and these public agencies who are supposed to be looking out for us here.
Well, you're right, John, and it depends on what lens you're looking through to be able to determine that. Now, no, we're not alleging or suggesting that anybody did anything illegal, but just that perhaps the consumer was not interested or not represented, rather, in this process. And that's, of course, what concerns Senator Fasano. And again, it depends on what lens you look through in this particular issue.
Thank you very much, Doug.